Hello, Dark Side family. Thank you so much for sliding through and joining us on Intimate Conversations. Please note that we are about to cover a sensitive topic in our next video, which is narcissistic and sexual abuse. Please know that the views of the guest is not a reflection of Intimate Conversations. Also know that this video will be airing after Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but we want you to know that we do honor the importance of exposing narcissistic and sexual abuse. Thank you so much for joining in, and remember to operate from love and not fear. Hello, thank you so much for sliding in, Dark Side family. Today is a special episode as we are honoring Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We have 3 special guests who are going to share their experiences in regards to narcissistic and sexual abuse. So thank you, and we're going to start our show. With our first introduction, we have Gracie Phoenix, Kimberley Breslin, and then we have Andrew Benjamin.
Hey.
Hello. So let's talk about Gracie Phoenix. Gracie was born in Detroit and now she lives in Denver, but has traveled to various countries in Africa. She's a mother, a daughter.
4 boys.
And she has 4 boys. That's a big tribe there, girl. Her background ranges from directing, filmmaking, actor on TV and radio. She's a radio personality, and she's also has embarked on the international range of African music. She has attended the BET after party in 2011 to be able to interview the African nominees. In 2017, Gracie escaped her abusive husband of 4 years and wrote a short film called Rise from the Ashes about narcissistic abuse and the long-term effects.
Yes.
Then we have Kimberley Breslin. She was born in South Africa, a graduate with her master's in social work from MSU Denver, my alma mater. She's an advocate for social justice. She's working with individuals experiencing homelessness and ending personal violence. Kimberley will also be sharing her story as well regarding sexual abuse. And then we have the LUV Doctor, Andrew Benjamin, who I will be referring interchangeably as Benjamin and the LUV Doctor, who is an unsung hero of the World Trade Center, whose report on the tragedy from a volunteer's perspective was featured in the Amsterdam News, the Caribbean Life News, and the UNICEF Staff News, has written a book informing us of internet dating. Andrew has also written a book. Let me make sure I got this right. Once again, here we go again. Is that correct, Andrew?
With the narcissist.
With the narcissist. Andrew has interviewed over 1,000 people to find out why the person he dated dismissed him so callously with her cruel exit and without any true form of explanation. Andrew is from New York. Brooklyn?
That's correct. Crown Heights.
New York. So we're going to do a lead-in, Andrew. I did some research. We just officially met in person. We've been talking on the phone for the last 48 hours, and Andrew has provided me with lots of information. Andrew has a TV show as well as a YouTube channel and a Facebook group called
The Truth Hurts.
The Truth Hurts. Yes.
The group. Yeah.
Yeah. You aren't lying about that. So Andrew, tell me a little bit about your story. Make it brief about how you came into being an advocate against narcissistic abuse. And then we're going to touch on some other stuff that we talked about as well.
In order to know a person, you have to know their story. In a nutshell, you get engaged, you move out to Texas. 4 months later, she's saying she doesn't want this and she's not going to marry you. So you pack your things and you leave the next day. Before the plane lands, she's begging you to come back. I'm such a fool. You're the best man I ever had. Blah, blah, blah. So you say to yourself, after a couple of months, maybe it was wedding jitters, so you go back. 2 months later, she's seeing someone else. Only to find out the person she's seeing has been there the whole 2.5 years of the engagement. Per the man's request, no one's serious, just someone she's sleeping with. She tries to put you out in the street when you don't know a soul because she's tired sleeping in her house, in his house. She wants him to sleep in her house. But due to the fact that you got residency and she can't put you out, she'll call the cops 5 times with false accusations that you hit her so she could get you arrested. And while you're in jail, get the court order protection to put you out when you get out. She calls you 5 o'clock in the morning from the man's house to tell you she's sleeping with him. While he texts you, she's in good hands. You lose 8 jobs in New York being in Texas, 4 jobs in Texas being in New York. You're now stuck with a $30,000 car note.
Wow.
That's narcissistic behavior.
Yes.
It's extremely self-centered. And they lack empathy and remorse. Thus, they can do anything to you and not feel bad about it. Now, since it's narcissistic behavior is extreme, they don't get you mad. They get you enraged.
Yes.
To the point where you don't want to fight them. You don't want to kill them. You want to murder them. You don't want to kill them because that's just too good. You want to murder them. Remember that scene from Sin City where he started choking or walked to the point where his eyes curled back and the blood started coming out of his eyes? That's what you want to do with them.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So going through that, you ended up writing a book. Is that correct?
Yes. It was you, and you have to learn to deal with your feelings in those situations.
Yeah. Now I want to tie something in. I want to tie something in because all 3 of you all did something very powerful. You wrote a book. I called it a dang on thesis. It was a 500-page book. And you wrote it in 4 months. Is that correct?
4 months I wrote it, and then after I learned what narcissism is, I spent another 4 months learning narcissism so I could interact the story with the behavior.
Yep. Now what Gracie did, she made a film. And she did it in 2 years. So you wrote a book.
No, I did my movie in a couple months too.
Oh, okay. So check it out. So you did this book.
Oh yeah, right after that freaking situation.
Yes, you did a book in 4 months. She does a film in a couple of months, and then Kimberly here, she goes and gets a master's in social work.
No, that's right.
You know, and so
you see how deeply it affects you.
Yes, so this is how abuse can affect you, but this is a beautiful thing because I wanted to have a male perspective, as I think is very important for you to tell your story. Also, you have your YouTube channel. There's a couple of videos that I reviewed per your request. I'm going to mention some of these videos. Now, the first one you put on there, does she deserve an ass whooping? Now, wait a minute. You proposed to her on your TV show. By the way, he has a TV show, okay, as we mentioned before. You proposed to her. Now, was this when you were in New York or in Texas?
In New York.
Okay, so the TV show was already established.
Yes, at Brick Media House.
Why did you propose to her on TV?
Any man
proposed to me on the radio. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Any man that wants to propose to a woman that he truly loves wants it to be special.
Yes. I do not think that's special. That puts a lot of pressure on a woman. And some women who are not strong enough will be forced to feel like they have to say yes.
I gave her an outlet.
Now, I seen you post the video and I was like, why would you do that?
I liked it.
I was like,
See, it's a matter of opinion right here. She loves it. You don't. 500 women I spoke to all said it was the most beautiful thing. They would have been jumping up and down, telling me to hurry up so they could take the blindfold off.
Now get it. I'm not saying that it wasn't romantic. I'm saying for my personal preference, I like quiet and privacy. I want it thought through. We can do it over dinner, but I do not want the world watching you propose.
You see, if I was dating you, I would know what your preference is.
Okay, so let me ask you that. When you proposed to her, had there already been signs of narcissistic abuse that you had seen?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So, and I also mentioned that I also remember you mentioning it. Was this like you proposed to her in like what, 10 months? You guys have been dating about 10 months?
A year and a half.
A year and a half. Okay.
Yeah, wow.
And there was no signs of her narcissism.
Narcissist. You always meet the representative when you meet the person.
That is correct. Mm-hmm.
I met mine first.
It depends upon the narcissist. Some will do it immediately. Some it may take a long time, but eventually the behavior comes out.
Yeah.
So
at that time, it's too late. You're already stuck, invested, and even when you know, it's like I put too much of my time just to let this go. So you drain yourself trying to make it work, knowing it's not going to work.
Right. So after you both got engaged, how much longer before she pulled off that mask and you realized it was narcissism? Because you guys broke up and got back together a lot of times.
That's what narcissists do. When they break up with you, they make it look like you're the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But when you find out what really going on, that's when the discard comes. Well, I can't fool him no more. I'm cutting him off. Discard. I'm going to go with this person. So they leave you and they go to the next person. Yeah. Then you become the enemy. Because in order for them to feel good about themselves, you have to become the enemy, or else they have to accept the demise of the relationship.
Yeah, so narcissism is more of an emotional and mental abuse than it is physical. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And I got that because then you went into your next video, Red Flags, number 151, and you talk about the old supply versus the new supply with the narcissist, and how really when they leave you, they're not leaving you for somebody better. It's really for somebody worse.
That's the mind-boggling part. Everything is an mind fuck with them. It is. It's like, wait a minute, you leaving me for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. This is real.
That one hit home. I'm sorry.
It's their game of how they play with you to make you feel like you weren't even worthy to be with them, knowing you had so much to offer and invested in them. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. Then you had a third video.
You have to know your worth with a narcissist, or else they will make you feel worthless.
Yep.
And then see, my second husband was a narcissist, and in 10 months I don't know what he did, but he did it that I had to look and say, how did I get here? Yep. In 10 months. And in 10 months is like really fast these days. Yeah. So there's a third video. Now this one, y'all, I'm not responsible, but you gotta watch the video because there's more to the title. It says, Getting Raped by Stupidity. And you talk about women putting themselves in compromising positions. So the reason I thought this was interesting video is because as I was looking at your videos, you had, and also reading your book, you had got back and forth, went back and forth. I'm gonna call her, is Lilith okay? Is her name?
That's her name.
Okay.
That's her name.
That's not her real name.
Monster.
That's her name.
The monster? Okay, I'll call her the monster.
Lilith is a narcissist is a monster. Everything about the behavior is demonic.
So, anyhow, the monster, y'all went back and forth. This is not funny. I don't know.
I'm not laughing at it. I can relate. I'm not laughing.
I'm not. And this is a series. I'm glad we can find some levity to it because honestly, I know it feels good to kind of relieve, but it is a serious situation. But the monster, you kept going back to her, and I'm going to get into that because
I went back one time.
But all these letters going back and forth.
Well, what when you break up, what do? You try to talk things out, right?
I talk things out before I break up. I work it out. I give it 110% before I break up because when I'm done, I'm done.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
I wasn't done at that point. I thought I had messed up. I told you. They make it look like you are the problem. When I came back, I had a car crash. Yeah. Okay.
But how many times did you go back? And you got to just one time.
One.
So how long were you broke up before you went back?
About 4 months.
4 months.
Dang.
And in between the 4 months, were you guys communicating through the letters? Was that where that chapter is in your book that I read? Don't leave me. Because that was pretty intense. I mean, you guys had a lot of dialogue in between that 4 months.
This is why this book is better than any other therapist book or doctors, because you get to see firsthand what a person does with the behavior. This is no guesswork. This is no therapy. This is actually what happens, and you get to see the behavior as it unfolds.
Yeah.
That's how I'm
Pulling out the red flags as it unfolds.
Yeah.
Now you know what to do as a red flag, what to watch out for, and you're getting an explanation.
Why did you all break up? Who broke up with who the first time? Was it her?
Well, I told you, she broke up with me after 4 months. She says, I don't want this. I'm not going to marry you.
Okay. And then you just assume it was getting married jitters, right?
Right.
Now, as I'm reading this chapter in your book, once again, here we go again. I read the chapter, Don't Leave Me. And wow, it was a pretty intense chapter, because in this chapter you guys you're corresponding through, is this email or actual letters?
Email.
Okay. And I can see the back and forth, and she's saying, I love you so much, you're a great man, and this, that, and the other. I've never had anybody.
I'm a great man, but I'm not going to marry you.
Yeah.
You see the contradiction?
Well, and also you alluded to something that struck my mind was, she was in a previous abusive relationship before.
So she claimed.
Ah,
But they were narcissists. They will always tell you what someone did to them. They will never tell you what they did to the narcissist. I mean, the narcissist did to them.
Yeah.
They always go back and make it look like, I was a victim.
Everybody's crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody in my past is crazy. They're all crazy.
Nice.
I was so nice, and he just abused me.
And then she said something about he had some guy come over and made her have sex with the guy so they can have drugs.
That's when she was on her addiction.
So she was on an addiction. Now, I do find my ex, he was on addiction too, and I think he went into cocaine. I have no proof, but I have proof by some investigations of some numbers that were left hanging around that I called, and they were like, hey, if you know this person does drugs. And so most times narcissists do have some type of substance abuse. Is that correct? Would you say so?
Mine doesn't.
That's a human nature thing.
Yeah.
Mine didn't.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a narcissist to be on drugs.
Yeah.
But they do interact. Just like how drugs and sex interact, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Do you think did you allude to that they have sex addictions? I felt like I read that in the red flags, they have a sex addiction, would you say?
Yes.
That's a good one.
As a matter of fact.
Sex addiction? Or they just use sex to fulfill a need? Maybe that's a short...
They control you with sex.
Yes. That would be, maybe that's a better way.
For instance, it's tax time.
Yeah.
And a man... You know women get a large paycheck at tax time, so now he comes and he gives you good sex. Have you noticed that's when he normally asks you for money?
Men don't ask me for money.
I know that's right.
I'm sorry. That's not how it works for me. And I don't take care of men. Men take care of me. So all that shit about women saying, oh, my lights got cut off and I need food. I was like, nah. I don't take care of men. They take care of me.
I know that's right.
That's just how I roll. I'm sorry. That's just how I roll. I had a father and he told me to set the bar high, and I know better. So no. And it ain't like you got to make 6 figures, because I know you mentioned like a lot of women are materialistic. It's not that. I can work with any man. You could be a trash picker-upper, but you could be a trash picker-upper, but the thing is, as long as you got an income coming on, we can build together. So no, that's not applicable.
Right.
But I know Kimberly had a question, a comment.
Oh, I can't even remember now.
I'm so sorry.
I take care of myself. I don't like men taking care of me either. No, I don't remember what my question was. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's go with this double standard. If a man needed help from a woman and y'all together, you wouldn't help your man?
Of course I would. Yeah.
That's not how you worded it. You said.
That's not.
Well, no, you're right. You're right.
Money.
I'm talking about men taking advantage of women.
No, that's not how you clarified. That's not how you clarified it.
Okay.
I will help my man. If my man lost a job, I will hold him down.
I know that's right.
Okay? Hold on we'll be right back. Hold on 1 minute. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Hey Darkside family, had a long day? Need to unwind and relax? Well, book your appointment with the Healing Oasis, a licensed professional with AJ Battle. A healthy body is a healthy life. Royalty Blends, where they offer teas, tinctures, trinkets, health and wellness services, spiritual readings, and among many other products of interest. Royalty Blends by Amisha for inward healing and health. Let's talk about Resilience Beauty hair growth products designed to stimulate faster hair growth, keep hair moisturized, and prevent breakage. Resilience hair care products are made with non-GMO, vegan, and organic ingredients. And then we have Resilience Perfume, a woman's fragrance designed and inspired by Gracie Phoenix. After surviving domestic violence, you can bounce back after any crisis. A percentage of the proceeds will be donated to victims of domestic violence. Resilience, a fragrance designed by Gracie Phoenix. And we're back. Okay, so I know Kimberly, you asked.
Yeah, do you feel jaded towards women now because a lot of the things you're saying are very like, well, all women this and all women that, you know? Do you feel jaded towards women?
This is a narcissistic world we live in. And the United States is known as a narcissistic culture.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's not just women. This is not a gender thing. This is a behavioral thing.
Okay, but the question is, Benjamin, is do you feel jaded towards women? Like in your space right now, do you?
Where I'm at now,
Yes.
I don't want to be bothered.
Okay, and that's fair. How long have you?
5 years. 5 years I haven't dated. I haven't had sex. I have met women that was interested. I don't want to be bothered. I'm not gay either. So let's not go there. Yeah. But when you're hurt this deep, it's hard to love again.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, of course it is.
Absolutely.
So you're kind of being solo right now. You're healing. You got your TV show. You're a little bit controversial, but I think you're hitting some key points when it comes to abuse. What's your next step now after the book?
My next step is to put the awareness out there. A lot of people don't. This is the problem with narcissistic abuse. Nobody cares about it until it happens
To them.
Then all of a sudden, they find themselves studying it, understanding it, reading the red flags, but by then it's too late. You're already destroyed. PTSD is what happens to a victim. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder, where it used to be shell shock for
War veterans.
military war veterans, and it's very hard to get. Some people never recover. So now, I tried to create a convention. I gathered all the YouTube coaches to form a convention, but there are jealous therapists that sabotaged my work. Well, what makes you think you're qualified to hold a convention? Because he feels that a non-degreed black man should not be spearheading degreed professionals. So he went telling people it was a scam. Then this woman named Kill Jezebel, she went over there harassing the panelists, saying that she was from the district attorney's office and the convention Andrew holding is a scam. So the tickets wasn't selling enough to book the venues. So I gave everybody their money back. The people, the participants decided it wasn't worth helping these unappreciated people. So I went back to school to get my associates. I was going to become a doctor, but you can't become a life coach with a doctor's degree.
You have to do it based off of life experiences.
So you have to get certified by the ICF, the International Coach Federation. So after I got my degree, I'm a college grad, I am now presently in school for life coaching because you need 60 hours training. Now, when I finish that, there is a law called Lillard's Law that will make this behavior a crime. What people don't understand is narcissistic abuse is mental abuse. Mental abuse is worse than physical abuse.
That is correct.
you can't recover from physical abuse. You can't recover from PTSD as easily as people think.
Yes.
So now, what's the first thing a person heard you say? Oh, you crazy. Go get some therapy. But therapy costs thousands of dollars. So now Lilith's Law will force them to be accountable because I wasn't crazy before I met you. So you're the cause. So now you have to pay for my therapy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
You have to pay me. Some people have lost their jobs. They couldn't hold their jobs.
Yeah.
Me, I couldn't keep a job. When I came back from New York, I was so
Broken.
destroyed, broken.
Yeah.
I'm an executive assistant for Fortune 500 companies,
Thank you.
for law firms. I couldn't think.
Yeah, me either.
My friend had to get me a job throwing trash in the trash compactor.
Yeah.
And the only way I could feel good about that is every bag I threw into the garbage had a body part. I figured like I played like I was Dexter, and I cut up the body after I killed him, and I tossed the bodies and I had to get rid of it. That was the only way I could keep my sanity.
Well, I do appreciate you sharing your story because narcissistic abuse is very prevalent and it does affect you emotionally. I want you to keep us posted on Lilith Law because you're trying to get that passed to make it legal. Is that correct? Is there are you trying to get...
There's a petition out.
There's a petition. Okay.
There's a petition with the articles. It's welcome. Anybody who also has any ideas of what laws should be should come to me so I could incorporate it. Because when Trump gets out of office, I'm going to Congress with this right away.
Right. So before we close out, do you ladies have any questions for him that you would like to address?
Come on, ladies.
I mean, I know the brother. We have spent hours on the phone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, because we sit back and forth and kind of just giggle at this. Like, not laugh like it's funny, but it's shock and awe type laughter. You know, like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody else can freaking relate.
I can't believe I was that stupid.
Yeah.
What do you think you'd want to like say to other men that are potentially experiencing narcissistic abuse?
Well, it's not just men. I told you, it's men and women. It's just that. Now, this is funny. People.
But the reason she specified it to men is because you were brave enough to come on here as a man who has experienced abuse, and most men are not as vocal as women are. Right. So her question is, what would you say to men who have experienced this type of abuse or any type of abuse? What would be your...
As in my group, the Truth Hurts group, which I created for that, men can actually come out and speak their minds without being criticized. Because, you know, the first thing a man says is, oh, suck it up and move on. Right. That's the last thing a survivor of narcissistic abuse wants to hear.
Yes, thank you. That makes it worse. It adds more trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Because you start withdrawing.
Yeah. Isolated.
I just think it's important for other men who may not see what they're experiencing as abuse because we don't talk about it in society. So I think it's important for other men to be able to be like, I've been through this too, and this is real. And just because your abuser is a woman doesn't make it any less real or any less traumatic.
Thank you.
And Benjamin, you also known as the Love Doctor. Where can people find your social media platforms?
Okay, social media. First of all, I have a private group called The Truth Hurts. You've been in, you've seen the topics. It's raw. It's not for the sensitive. Yes. If you're sensitive, stay away.
Right.
If you want to learn what life is, and life will beat you down if you are not prepared. That group is, you contact me and I will personally, everyone that becomes my friend gets put into that group. And I welcome you to share your story and not be a lurker and just start watching everything. Participation brings education. So you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, are you on Twitter, Instagram? No. I'm too stupid for Twitter and Instagram. I just stick with YouTube. Okay.
What's your YouTube?
What's your YouTube channel? Is that, what is it called?
The Truth Hurts. Everything is simplistic with me.
Okay. Do you have an email or anything? ODINSON11203 @Yahoo. Great. And then before we sign off with you, what are some words of wisdom that you can give for our viewers today?
I'll give you 3 words of wisdom. The poison that does the most damage is a love moved on. Transgressions of past relationships play a great role in new relationships. And the biggest fear is to love again once you have been scorned.
Wow. That's pretty heavy. Well, thank you so much, Andrew Benjamin. Thank you for sharing your story. We will put all your information in the details in the bio, and I do appreciate it, and I will be in contact with you, and I am a part of your Facebook group, so you'll definitely be hearing from me as well. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye, ladies. Pleasure working with you.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that was a great interview from a man's perspective, and you coming from narcissistic abuse, I'm sure you can relate a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you, Gracie, for introducing me to Benjamin.
You're welcome.
I'm so glad we were able to get him on the show. Was there anything that touched home for you?
Everything, all of it.
Yeah.
Just the red flags and stuff. The one thing I didn't quite, I guess, connect with was how she didn't show her red flags immediately. Like I saw all of that immediately from him. So I saw it from the beginning, and I guess she ripped her mask off like later on after she was already, had him in her web. So he got me early. So
yeah. What were some of the red flags that you seen?
Just the silent treatment when I didn't agree with him. He would just kind of be cold and distant and trying to threaten to leave when he really didn't have anywhere to go. Come to find out he really didn't have anywhere else to go. I was his only option. And he would threaten to leave me, and I would be like, oh no, baby, don't leave me, what did I do? And stuff like that. And then, jealousy, just if I talked to another guy, it was a major fallout. It was just really weird. So I just wasn't really comfortable with some of those red flags. And I saw that in the beginning early on, but
was he controlling?
I had an African and Caribbean radio show. The whole African community loved it across the globe. I mean, globally. And he was the only one that was like, it's okay. I was like, wait a minute. What, Negro? What are you talking about? It's okay.
Been there. Totally understand that.
Definitely, diminishing and belittling my art and in my craft or whatever it was. It wasn't good enough. Nothing was ever good enough.
Yeah.
I also feel like, the silent treatment, and then also if you talk to another guy, is kind of controlling behavior, because it's having you it's forcing you to fight for him in a lot of different ways, fight to break the silent treatment. He's in control of it, so
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't even consider that.
That's a very interesting concept, because mine would just be gone for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. Wow.
Wouldn't return my phone calls, and then come back and try to start an argument so he can turn around and leave. And I could be completely silent, not say anything, have dinner cooked, and just be quiet, and he would just try to poke. Yeah. So I get it. It is a very controlling nature. You also did a short film called Rise from the Ashes.
Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
and actually, Miss LaDios Muhammad here was one of my casting. She came in for a casting call, actually, and I couldn't afford her. She was so professional. I was like, no offense to the rest of my team, I'm not, y'all the bomb too. Yeah. But I'm just saying, the way she came in with the resume and headshots, and I'm ready to go, let's do this. And I was like, oh my God, I can't afford this lady.
But I seen the film, and let me tell you, everybody in the film was the right people for the film. And I'm a firm believer, what's for me is for me. I watched the film, and it was a really good film.
Thank you.
So from beginning to end that was your story, right?
Literally the verbatim, story. Everything you see in the movie, from the props to the car to the beer to the accent to the triangulation, the relationship before I got with the husband.
That was kind of interesting, that relationship, because you just up and left with some strangers to go to Africa.
It wasn't, I went with him. I didn't go with her.
Okay.
She was his wife, and I went with the husband, and she knew about it. I met her ahead of time and stuff like that, and she was cool, because he's an African, they believe in polygamy and stuff, and so she was like, okay, well, it is what it is. My husband's going to have another woman. What can I do? Yeah. So, it wasn't a secret. I mean, I was never hiding from her as some mistress or something like that. No.
Yeah, I got that. I got that in the film, and I thought that was very well put together.
Thank you.
Do most, because your ex-husband, he was from Africa, right?
Yes.
Do most African men practice polygamy?
I don't know. I mean, I think all men want to have more than one woman. Am I lying?
Is that right, Mr. King?
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about the culture.
He's like totally quiet, like I'm not even gonna answer that.
This is y'all's conversation now.
I think it depends on the culture.
Yeah.
I've met both men in Africa in different cultures that believe in polygamy and believe in monogamy, and I do think polygamy is a little bit more accepted than it is in the United States.
Yeah, I don't know if I really have a problem with polygamy, and as long as we can reverse it.
Thank you.
And I can have more than one husband
now
too.
We're talking. Now we are talking. Finally.
Yeah,
I was the only one that felt that way.
I totally
equal.
Yeah, I totally am okay with that as long as it's not a double standard.
Thank you.
But also along your experience, not only did you create a short film in 2 months, as you mentioned, and you went to the film festivals and you got an award, didn't you get an award?
I got nominated for several awards.
Nice.
Yeah, nominated all over the world. I even have because I had it shown in France in Cannes. I think had Cannes, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really big.
Thank you. Why was she like? So I had to have it like subtitled in French.
Okay.
So like I have one in French and one in English, and so
that's super cool.
That's really good. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And also that blossomed out of all that experience is your fragrance.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Show our viewer your fragrance.
You guys, I brought some for you guys as well. So
there you go.
You're welcome.
This is so cute. This is so cute. I have a fragrance too.
You do.
But this is not about me. This is about y'all.
It's called Resilience, and
it smells delicious.
Thank you.
Oh, I will be wearing this. This smells delicious.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell me about Resilience. Tell me a little bit.
Resilience was born not for survivors of abuse, but just to remind survivors and other, people out there going through trauma and other PTSD and other things in their life that they have to get over and overcome and bounce back from. So I guess the what do you call it? The word, what's the word? That word. The tagline or that word that they use, whatever the word is.
What is it?
It's bounce back.
Oh, bounce back.
It's kind of like how you bounce back from whatever trauma you've experienced in the past and stuff like that. So just a reminder that you can still overcome things and stuff like that. So that's where Resilience came from in the name. And I also have a just a beauty line in general.
Yeah, talk about that. Yeah.
This is my grease. It's hair growth grease, you guys. So it's all resilience related. Yes. All around the idea of resilience and bouncing back.
We'll put a picture in that, and then
thank you.
Yeah, we'll take a picture of that as well.
Thank you.
Now, so this was a lot of times when there's abuse, it may start at home. Mm-hmm. Did you have any abuse at home in your childhood, in pre-adulthood, in high school? Did you have anything?
Nothing.
This was the first time that happened ever.
Yeah, I mean, this one was so traumatic that I haven't even had a chance to go reflect on anything other than this. Because this one hit so hard and so bad and so fast and so strong that all I could think of was researching this one first. So I don't even know. I haven't even gone back into my mental Rolodex to see if anything has. I mean, off the top of my head, I was pretty happy growing up. Yeah. I do have some traumatic events that happened, but nothing abusive. I've had some things that have made me sad and that had kind of messed with my psyche a little bit, but nothing to be abusive and stuff like that.
That's good. So you make good choices then.
Oh, I don't fuck around. Excuse me. I don't fuck around. Okay, that's why even with my ex-husband, he was a great guy. You know what I'm saying? That's what got me. Because even to this day, he's still a good guy. Yeah. So he's not like this terrible human being or whatever. Yeah. But that just the narcissistic characteristics, those traits, those personalities, that's that took precedence. And I was like, I'm out. I can't handle that. So. Right. So I don't mess.
How long were you in the relationship?
5.5 years. I need to change my website. It says for 5.5 years. I went back and counted. So yeah.
And what was the breaking point for you?
The breaking point was when he cheated. Because I could handle everything else. We even had an open relationship where he could date other women.
So when does it become cheating if you have...
When I don't say okay.
Oh, okay. So then basically there has to be an agreement.
An agreement.
Yes.
And I have to pick her.
Oh, okay. There you go.
No. And if you go outside of those rules, and it's considered cheating, bro, you did the wrong thing. You had an open avenue to do whatever you want in your bedroom with me. Mm-hmm. And even without me, but I have to be the one to say because it's our relationship.
Yes.
So
So it was a betrayal, not necessarily him being with someone else, but that act of betrayal.
Yeah, going behind
going behind me.
Yeah.
To do it when he had an opportunity to just, hey babe, this girl, I like her. What do you think? You know, that's all you had to do. So, but no.
Right. Now, Kimberly, I know we did some offline talking, and you had mentioned that you have suffered from sexual abuse.
Yes.
As well, and also you had a boyfriend who was abusive as well. So, yes, tell us a little bit about that, because I want to know how that led you to your journey to do a little bit of social work.
Yeah, so I was born and raised overseas, and then in South Africa and Mozambique, and so every year we used to go to my grandparents' house for the summer or for a couple months, and I would stay there, and I was sexually abused every time I saw my grandfather for about 7 years. I disclosed my abuse when I was 13, after I was sexually assaulted at my uncle's wedding by him. And so I decided to come out because I finally felt like I had the languaging for it. I finally felt like, well, I also felt like since we moved to the States that it would happen a little bit more consistently, so I had that kind of fear going in. So I disclosed, and my parents were really amazing. They really reacted really well and really got me like a protection order and all that sort of stuff. And but my dad's side of the family, he's my grandfather on my dad's side, they all sided with him and said that I remember my uncle saying, even though we know that she was sexually abused by him, we shouldn't do anything about it. And so I decided to press charges against my grandfather, mostly out of the belief in the want of protecting my cousins, because I knew that my uncles weren't going to stop having their children around him. And so I just felt like I couldn't put that on my conscience. And so that was my main reasoning. But I went to court at 15 because court takes forever. So I waited 2 years and got pulled out of my sophomore finals to go to court, and he was found not guilty. And I feel like, you know, there's a lot wrong with our justice system. I mean, it's horribly corrupt, it's horribly racist. And I think from my work as a social worker and as my experience as a survivor, I've seen how the criminal justice system really fails survivors and really just doesn't punish perpetrators, but then it also doesn't protect survivors, right? Like,
that is so true.
Yeah.
Because they, what do you call it? When you put a restraining order, those do not work.
No, they don't.
They do not work. By the time they're here and you call the police, you could be dead. They just don't work. They don't work.
And I know of women who died because they've been waiting on police to show up for protection orders. And I mean, a piece of paper doesn't do anything. And then a lot of the time they'll break the protection order multiple times, and they'll be like, okay, but he just texted you, or he just did this, right? And it's like, but there's a buildup of behavior. And I think there just needs to be so much reform done and so much change.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's so true, because my ex-husband, my second one, he the first one's in prison for attempted murder.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where all the scars are
my
from.
God,
He stabbed me 5 times in the neck.
What?
And but the second one, he stalked me for 2.5 years after our divorce. 2.5 years after our divorce, and I had a restraining order.
The second husband?
The second one.
What?
Yes. So one of the things that I thought was really profound that you keyed in, and you said you wanted to protect your cousins.
Yeah.
Was anyone besides you touched, or that you're aware of? Did any of your cousins or anyone share anything, especially when you came out?
No.
You know?
I'm not aware of anyone else. I know that he was generationally abusive, so he did abuse other people in my family. I also know that he probably abused other people in the community. My cousins have never, my grandfather was a mayor of like a small town in Massachusetts and stuff, so he had like power. Do you
think that has something to do with him getting off?
I think
a little power in the judicial system.
I think being a white man, you just get off. But I think
that was completely honest. Wow, That was so well honest.
Yeah, and I think, that's just my honest opinion. But I also think that, you know, you have abusers on every level and all over the world. And I feel like abusers that abuse people sexually, they don't stop. But the amount of power they have allows for the amount of like victim pools, right? So you have like people like Jeffrey Epstein or people like that who had so much power and so much access, so they were able to abuse so many people. And people with not as much power might not be able to abuse as much, but they still abuse.
Right. Wow.
How did you go through your healing after that? I mean, that
it
7
was
years.
horrible.
7 years is a long time to keep
And
a
child,
secret.
too.
And a child at such a young age. Did you go through counseling, therapy? How long?
Yeah, I completely fell apart, I think, after my trial. I think I just felt broken. I ended up dropping out of high school twice. And yeah, and so it's actually kind of, I'm very proud to have a master's and to, you know, have graduated college and to really, I didn't think I would live past 16. I attempted to kill myself. I had a lot of, but what I had that I think a lot of people in my situation might not have is I had a really amazing support system in my parents and in my sister, and they really helped me heal, and they made me work, you know. But I feel like I also had to grow up really fast because I was exposed to pretty extreme violence pretty young.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow. That's super heavy, and I want to thank you so much for sharing in this space. After you've experienced something like that, because it seems like you experienced in your more young adult and you've experienced in childhood, how does that play on going into future relationships for each of you? Again, like I said, I can go back to my first experience, sexual experience. I wasn't penetrated, but the fear that a person can instill in you is heavy, because I remember living in Alaska, and we went to my classmate's house, and we were playing hide and seek. Anyway, short story, her brother said, come up here. I don't remember how old he is. He had to have been like 13, 14. Hide with me under the covers. And he made me whack him off. And I was like 6. I don't know what I was doing, but I knew it was wrong. And I was scared. And I never told my parents, because he said, if you tell your mom and dad, I'll kill you. I'll kill you and I'll kill them. And so I can understand the manipulation. I asked that question not to patronize, to understand that when you said there's no words to articulate what your experience. You don't know. 6 years old is a very young time. But as you go into adulthood, how do you said that there was also, you had a relationship, a boyfriend. Okay, I don't want to assume. A boyfriend who was domestic violence, who was an abusive person as well. Tell us a little bit about that. And then we'll swing back over to you, Gracie.
I think I have a really hard time in relationships. I'm currently I think my only out of my group of girlfriends that doesn't have a partner. I think relationships are really hard for me. I think especially after this last relationship, I think I've always wanted a man to love me. I think I do have a lot of issues around that I need to work on. But I picked the wrong person in college who really just made me feel worthless, like I was nothing, who, made me feel like he was embarrassed of me consistently. But I think what really kind of hit the final straw was when he sexually assaulted me. And he knew my history and he knew my trauma. And I think what was so hard about that was you love this person, you explain to them all the traumatizing things that you've been through in your life, and instead of receiving you with love, they use it against you. And I think since then I haven't had a relationship, and I've had it's been 2 or 3 years now, and I haven't really wanted one. But I think it's hard to open yourself up in that way to love again, and then, or to love for the first time, because he was definitely my first love, and then have something like that happen. It just made you feel why should I tear down these walls for anybody?
Right. You protect your heart.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Part of your social work is dealing with homelessness, and you alluded to that earlier in the conversation about how it overlays for women or people. What do you find? Do you know some of the statistics, or how much homelessness we have a big homelessness issue in Denver, Colorado, that's just heartbreaking. I mean, you go up like 3-4 blocks right up here into downtown, and they've moved them out, and like, what are we going to do? But how does that overlap? What are you seeing with this overlap of women coming out, or men, or just someone who's experienced? And I just don't want to make it all about the gender.
I think the statistics are like 1 in 4 women, 1 in 9 men, and then 1 in 2 trans folks have experienced domestic violence. 60% of women who are experiencing homelessness are experiencing homelessness because of domestic violence.
Dang.
So if you see women on this 60%.
60.
That is huge.
You guys hear that? 60.
Yeah.
Because that's messed up, man. These men.
But remember, it doesn't always be men. I mean, it could be, it could be someone. It could be, Yeah,
I think what was most actually going off of that, what was really surprising to me, I think I've experienced a lot of really positive, healthy queer relationships in my life.
Yeah.
And going into this work, I've actually seen how many people in queer relationships have abusive tendencies and are survivors. So I think
they're survivors themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think especially with people experiencing homelessness, when you see the rise of COVID-19 and everything coming in, I mean, I was working in a domestic violence shelter at the peak of quarantine, and we had to like half our beds and all this stuff. And, it was really hard to say no to people who were so desperate. And you see a lot of, I think everyone just wants to put everything in a silo, right? Like, this is what domestic violence looks like. This is what homelessness looks like. This is what something else looks like. I don't know. But there's just so many overlaps. And when you have something like COVID happen, when you have a pandemic happen, when you have so much unemployment, like you see a rise in domestic violence, but then the people that are most harmed by domestic violence are definitely, people of color and people who experience marginalization, people on the lower end of socioeconomic spectrums. And, you can see women who have extreme violence in their homes choose homelessness for their children, or it's their only option left. And it's really hard. So if you see a woman on the side of the street, know that they may have experienced a lot to get them there. And I think through their partners. And I think, we have a lot of blame in our society for people experiencing homelessness. We have a lot of myths around it. And I think my biggest thing is just you don't know their story.
You really don't. You really don't. Some of them is just, I did do some research on homelessness, and I found that there's the percentage of people like who are addicts is smaller than the larger percentage population of homelessness. Some of it range from that people are actually working, but housing is too expensive. So there's homelessness, then there's the domestic violence, and then there could be a loss of job, but it's not always related to like addictions or things, and we are so quick to judge. But there's such a big background on homelessness.
Yeah. Speaking of addiction, what I find really fascinating is a lot of people start experiencing homelessness and they don't have substance abuse issues, they don't have addiction issues, but imagine living on the street, probably being violated, experiencing violence from police, experiencing violence from the population around you, and just experience a lot of systems failing you. I think it would be hard not to switch to substances, especially because I've seen women and men and just people in general who have survived like winters in Colorado because of meth use. Because they can't find anywhere to go, they don't have warm blankets or anything, but the meth actually kept them alive.
And alcohol,
it's really interesting.
Alcohol too, because alcohol warms your body up, warms your blood, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's
so I think we blame a lot with substance abuse, and sometimes it's a survival mechanism. And it's like, I think we have so much judgment about people who abuse substances that are experiencing homelessness. I mean, I drink wine, why is it so much more acceptable for me to use substance than for people to use substances on the street when they're probably experiencing a lot more violence on a day-to-day basis that they need to numb out with,
Wow.
Gracie, in your experiences, this is just one experience, what would you, because yours wasn't more physical, it was more emotional and mental, right?
It's the film is about two, so it's two narcissists who were kind of in cahoots with each other to pushed me off. Whatever, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wanted to kind of piggyback on what you were saying as far
for
as
sure.
how they use all your flaws and your insecurities against you when you share your stories with them. And I had some very sensitive topics, things that that I really were sensitive about, and when time came up in an argument or some kind of way he could throw it at me. I've never had anyone in my entire life do that to me, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? Who is this person? Like, it was so weird. He's the first person in my entire life who has ever like made me feel worthless. Like who didn't love me for me, or even if they were faking it, at least they didn't show, because I don't know if it happened before, because I don't have the energy to go back and dig through my own relationships. I don't care.
Yeah.
They're done and gone, they're over with or whatever. And so like, but as far as, what happened to me, within the last couple of years, like, that was the one that hit home, and I learned from the first time. It didn't take me long.
You scraped your knee once. I got a Band-Aid. I learned the first time.
No, you're not
I had to stub a toe.
I broke one. So yeah.
I'm kind of stuck on this. I'm kind of going back because it's been, you said it for 7 years. Your grandfather did this, and how did you hold on to that for 7 years? I mean, that's a heavy burden for a child to hold on for 7 years. I mean, just that, my heart is breaking to, like, that's traumatic to me. And then for you to just clearly talk about it, and I mean, people could say that about all of us, like, we can just openly talk about 7 years. What happened?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of fear. He was a very, I think he's dead now, but he was a very dangerous person. A lot of what happened to me was based in, sadism and humiliation and just a lot of really horrifying things. And so I think, I had to build that level of strength really young. And I don't really know how I survived it. I think, I think the main thing was my family, and then also growing up overseas. Like, growing up in Mozambique, I don't know how to describe it because so many people in America have like such a different view on Southern Africa and in Africa in general. But the experience I had such a community and such a love, and I grew up surrounded by culture and like a collective identity, and I think that and my family really pushed me through. But a lot of people ask me that question. They're like, how did you survive? I'm like, I don't know. I just had to do it,
Wow.
And I feel like I fell apart later in life. And I feel like a lot of survivors of either domestic violence or sexual abuse, sometimes I feel like they don't recognize what's happening to them, especially with domestic violence, because they're so busy surviving in the moment that they don't have the ability to like really reflect on what's happening to them. And then once the relationship ends or they're able to move on, then they like fall apart mentally.
Then they fall apart. Oh my God, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because you had to raise your children and you didn't have time to heal. And I think that's a big deal, is that we don't have time to heal, especially if you have children, because you're in a survival mode. That's what I call survival mode. You're just surviving, you're just walking, you're just trying to get yourself together, because now you're at a space, right? And I think we talked about this offline, that you're co-parenting. Yeah. But before, you probably were just on pilot.
I was autopilot.
Yeah.
Like tying my shoes. It was just a robot. Like, okay, let's do this. And then when he would leave, I'd break down and stuff. But I mean, I think we spoke, on the phone earlier, and I mean, he's not the same person he was. I think we both kind of grown over the last 4 years or whatever, since we've been divorced. But I mean, he's definitely made some efforts to start becoming more aware of his abusive nature and stuff like that. So, I mean, he's not the same person. I'm not the same person. I don't feel the same way I used to, but I'm still like, arm's length distance. I'm still keeping my ears and eyes open to make sure that I don't fall for anything. Or, I'm just trying to make sure I'm aware.
It must be really hard to co-parent with someone who has abused you.
It's not as hard as it was before. We have made tremendous strides. I'm so proud of us. Thank the heavens. You have no idea how far we've come. So, I mean, but at the beginning, yes, it was definitely a hell of it was traumatizing. It brought everything all back all over again. Every time he would come over to pick up the baby, or every time whatever, we had to make exchanges, and it was just so hard for me to do, and I just, and then, but lately, we've made some tremendous strides.
Well, I do want to say this, that there is love. I am a, prime example. There is love after abuse. it took me a long time to get a healthy relationship. It took me till I was 43, and I'm heading on to 50 next year. But I had to do a lot of work on me, a lot of work on me. So, but I like that the space you guys are in, because a lot of times people want to jump out of a relationship and they don't do the work.
With the work,
you
yeah.
know?
How do you work on yourself? Because that's the thing I'm having trouble with. I mean, I'm so focused on trying to figure out what the hell happened to me that I haven't even looked and seen what I, because I mean, it's never our fault. Abuse is never anyone's fault.
No, it's not.
I'm not going to sit up here and say I played any hand in it because I'm sorry I didn't. But because I was manipulated and traumatized and pushed into that category and I was targeted, not,
Right.
But how do you, so for me, I guess I trying to find out what happened to me, find out about the person and about people with that type of characteristics or personality traits. How do you start to get away from all of that and look at yourself?
Did you want to answer that, Kimberly? And then I can, tail back on that.
I don't know. I think that's why I'm not in a relationship. That's why I'm like, I'm good, because I really do need to work on myself. And I feel like, I've had a lot of experiences of abuse in my life, and I'm only 25. And I don't want to continue that cycle. And I also know that I'm not healed enough to be in a healthy relationship. And so I'm not going to put myself there. But I think healing comes a lot from within. I think you got to figure out how you need to heal. And I think it took me a really long time to figure out what that means to me. And that really, for me, it meant forgiving myself and forgiving myself for, not saying anything when I was younger, forgiving myself for like how the ways I had to survive. And I think that was my biggest step in healing, and I think I'm still continuing down that path. Like healing's a process. Yeah.
Healing is big. For me, after my second marriage, it was like a big eye opener, and I had to say, okay, where is this coming from? Why do you not feel like you're worthy? And my kryptonite is good looking, man. I like it. Obviously. All my men have been good looking. But anyway, no, I had to go back, and for me, I went back. It started in childhood, and I had to. My mom could be considered, with some heavy narcissistic traits. She was very emotionally and verbally abusive, even to this day. And I had to go back and do the research to find out why I was attracting it, and then reprogram myself and rebuild myself back up.
Okay.
And it took time. It took almost 4 years. But I wanted to put the time in, and that meant no dating, no sex, no nothing. Just working on me. Yeah, no sex. At least to the tail end when you're like getting ready. You're horrible. But I mean, it was really all about me. I started to find out what I like to do, going back salsa dancing, doing things, and I'm not afraid to be alone. Like I will get dressed up and go out on a date with myself.
Me too.
Go to the movies, go to the bar, go shoot some pool, go hiking, I'll go on a vacation by myself. But I really took that energy and put it back in me. And I think sometimes it's just easy to break down and lose yourself and forget who you are, and you just have to rebuild that foundation. But this time you actually build a foundation.
But that's where I'm at, like trying to remember who the heck I was before. I mean, and I'm kind of doing that slowly but surely, but it's not happening fast enough. Hurry up!
Don't rush the process.
I'm being funny about the, what I mean by saying I'm rushing or whatever. Hurry up! But I mean, I'm not trying to rush it on purpose. I'm just like, hurry up, because I got shit to do. I have a life to live. I have things I want to do and things I want to pursue and.
I feel like I've heard a lot of survivors be like, I want to be who I was, I want to find who I was before, and I've always really struggled with that because I'm like, I don't know who I was before my abuse.
Wow.
And so,
how young was it again?
6.
Wow.
That's 6 is like when you know what you want to do in life. At 6 years old, I was like, I know I want to be an actor and a writer, and so somehow that got a little bit convoluted and corrupted because of the trauma.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I don't know. So I've had to find who I am now, and who I am, I feel like I've found is who I am is very powerful. I've had to survive a lot, and I think I've come through a lot with a lot of love and a lot of empathy for other people. But I think, I don't know, sometimes I feel like when I've worked with other survivors, they get in this trap of I need to be the person I was before, and maybe you don't need to be the person you were before, because trauma does change you. It does change you as a person, and it doesn't make you any less of the person who you were before.
And if
you're just a different person.
Yeah, if you didn't change, there's something wrong. And obviously, I still had a lesson to learn, hence why I got in a second abusive relationship. I had to learn something, and I do not have any regrets of my lesson. It was something that brought me here. So what are some resources for you know what? I really don't like that word survivor. And victim. So it's to me there's 3 levels. There's victim, survivor, and for me I say
thriver.
There's thriver, but I say transition. Once you transition, you're not coming back.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a transition of someone from domestic violence, but people who are victims or people who are survivors, what are some resources that they can go to or utilize to help them to get out of that?
Yeah, so
wait. Okay. She just walked off the set.
I'm sorry, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Gracie decided to join us back. I was like, did she just walk off the set? Be looking for the blooper. But back on a serious note, what are some resources for people experiencing domestic violence and they're trying to get out? What are some resources that you can tell our audience they can go to?
Yeah, so I would definitely look at the National Center for Domestic Violence hotline. They can give you hotline specific resources for your state and also like safe shelter if you're experiencing anything else. Sometimes survivors of domestic violence also experience human trafficking or sexual violence, so they can also connect you to different resources within your city or state. So I would start there first. I think also really looking for groups would be important. I think for me, when I was, really healing and trying to come into myself as my identity as a survivor, it was really hard because I didn't really see like many survivors that were like successful. I think we have a lot of myths around like what survivors look like, how they act, what it means to be a survivor of domestic violence or interpersonal violence. And I think, being in groups with other women or people my age was really helpful, and really seeing like, wow, like this is actually a lot more normal than it is, which is sad, but also you gain a wider community. And then I think could be really important because unless you've been through it, it's hard to understand.
Yeah. And definitely don't forget to do some therapy and counseling. I'm an advocate for therapy.
Definitely.
One time I went 3-4 years straight, so I get it.
Yeah.
So remember we got that bonus question we talked about, and then we're going to go into, we're going to play a game. First, I want to say thank you all for sharing your story in this space. I think it's really important. I always want to offer our audience an educational piece, and I always definitely want to end up on a good note. But our bonus question, I remember the little link I told you about Meg the Stallion.
Yeah.
Did y'all look at that?
Yeah.
So if y'all don't know, I guess Tory Lanez shot Meg the Stallion in the foot, and she covered him for a while before she actually said, okay, fuck it, I'm going to just tell the truth. And my thing is, because she said, one of the things that stood out, she says, I feel like black women are not really protected here today in society. But what are your thoughts? Because the reason I thought this was important, and I'm going to just kind of go back and circle back, but my co-host and I on our opposite segment, we did a movie review on what was that movie review we did? Antebellum. And I read some of the reviews, and one of the guys, I don't know what he looked like, but one of the person reviewing it said, if this woman was a soccer mom, they wouldn't have been looking for her. But because she was a high person in society, upper class, they were looking for her. That's not realistic for black women. Now they would probably, and he said they would probably look for a soccer mom that's a white woman quicker if she went missing than a black woman. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Do you think black women are not respected? I see you raising your hand. Go ahead, go for it.
I think that women in general, from the beginning of time, I'm a strong advocate for female power, female empowerment, I'm not a feminist, like the word or the definition behind feminist, but I believe in female rights. And I have a strong belief that since the beginning of time, how dare they say that Eve was born from Adam when we were supposed to be born from clay. Okay, like we come from a man. Like I've never seen a man give birth. So ever since the beginning of time, women have been second class citizens or citizens at all. Or we've always been mistreated. We've always been. I mean, black, white, doesn't matter what race you are. So I don't care what race you are. If you're a female, you're second rate.
But do you believe what she said is correct?
No.
Okay. What are your thoughts?
I definitely believe what Megan Thee Stallion said. I think, it takes an enormous amount of strength to get shot in the foot and then protect a man from the police. I mean, we all know that Tory Lanez could have died from the police.
Yeah.
And she protected him. And you know how painful it is to get shot in the foot? Like, our feet are some of the most sensitive parts of our body.
Ankle.
Yeah. And to have that much love, that much empathy, that much strength as a woman, and be able to protect somebody, and then he's gonna use her for album sales, he's gonna traumatize her further. And then I think what I've been the most disgusted by, I mean, I've seen men's response to it that has been horrible, really supporting him, but what has really disappointed me more than anything else is seeing white women and non-black women of color really go after Megan Thee Stallion. It really disgusts me because I don't care who you are as a woman, you have experienced something in your life that has felt threatening, that has felt like your life, your body is under attack, and for you not to have the empathy or the love to support her in this is really, really disgusting. You are actively participating in traumatizing her and re-traumatizing her.
Thank you.
And so you're actively participating in her abuse by doing that. And I just think, white women really especially need to do a lot better in protecting and supporting black women and really loving them. Because black women really experience so much violence in this world, but they're constantly advocating, constantly loving, constantly have empathy for other women who have more privilege than them, who haven't experienced the same amount as them. So we need to do a lot better as white women.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Wow.
I appreciate that. Now we are going to play a game.
I like games.
All right. How we doing on time, Mr. King? Okay, we're going to take an additional 5 minutes. Okay. So we got 8 minutes.
Okay.
All right. So the game. Now you guys have to get 70%. So that means 7 out of 10. And then once you do it, you get to choose one of these lovely gifts.
I want the one on top. I
All right. Now remember, these gifts can be gag gifts or fun gifts. We don't know. Our last guest won a Netflix gift card.
Okay.
So number 1, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Okay, so you guys are partners.
Okay.
So before you shout out, you better consult.
Okay.
Domestic Violence Awareness Month was first observed in October 1987, but when did Congress designate it to be an official month? A, 1993. Look at your face. B, 2001, or C, 1989.
I think 1989.
That's what I was going to go with too. Let's do 89.
C, you are correct.
Yay.
All right. This artist was born in Senegalese, has received 3 Grammy Awards, was
Akon.
listed. Okay, let me get the question out. Let me get the question out.
You're like, I know artists.
Okay, I'm going to read the question.
I'm sorry.
Roll back. Okay, he was in Senegalese. I knew he was going to do that. I had a vision she was going to do that. He has received, I didn't even say has received 3 Grammy Awards, was listed as the #1 selling artist for the master of ringtones in the world, owns a diamond mine, and does philanthropy work.
Akon.
Which provides electricity and
Akon, come on.
Africa. It's Akon. Can I get the question out?
I know.
That's the rules. The rules is you got to hear the question.
Okay.
All right. Enough. Hush.
I know that one too.
A movie filmed in 2002. It involves a working class waitress named Slim, married to a wealthy contractor named Mitchell, and they have a daughter named Gracie.
Oh, that's right.
Her world is turned upside down, and when she discovers her husband is anything but perfect, his abusive behavior forces her to go out on the run. Who is the star in this movie? Wait. Okay. Jessica Alba. A, Jennifer Lopez. B, Charlize Theron.
Wasn't it Jessica?
It was J-Lo.
It was J-Lo. Oh yeah, it was J-Lo.
J-Lo, you are correct.
J-Lo. I was going to say. As soon as she said enough, I was like, J-Lo.
All right. Number 4. We think sometimes that poverty. Okay, this is a quote.
Okay.
By a famous person.
Okay.
All right. We think sometimes that poverty is only being hungry, naked, and homeless. The poverty of being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for is the greatest poverty. We must start in our own homes to remedy this kind of poverty.
Damn, that's deep.
So, A, Mother Teresa. B, Mahatma Gandhi. And C, Pope Francis.
I would say A. But
A? I'll go with A.
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
I'm guessing that's wrong.
Is that your final answer?
Is it Mother Teresa?
Yeah, sure.
Mother Teresa!
I was like, you got it wrong.
All right.
Like, we totally got it wrong.
Number 5. This movie was based on a novel called Push. It was written by Lee Daniels, the character played by Gabrielle Sidibe. Don't you say nothing that. Can neither read or write, who suffers constant abuse at the hands of her vicious mother, played by Monique. What is the name of this movie? A, No Love for Precious. B, Precious. C, The Hatred of Precious.
B.
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
B, Precious! We're going to finish this out.
Precious is in there.
All right.
You're confused, us?
Yeah.
That's a lot of precious.
No love for Precious. It's A.
All right, 6. The national statistic domestic violence says 1 in 3 women suffer from domestic abuse. But what is it for men? A, 1 in 6. B, 1 in 4. C, 1 in 3.
I think it's 1 in 6.
Did you say 1 in 9 earlier?
Yeah, we might have different statistics though. There are a lot of different ones.
1 in 6 then. Maybe.
Let's go 1 in 6.
1 in 6. Is that your final answer? 1 in 4. You actually mentioned
Oh, wow.
it earlier
I
today.
did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's 1 in 4 for men.
Wow. Really?
No, it's
Okay, that's 2 out of
Okay, so you only missed 1.
The first one was wrong. I think we got the first one wrong.
No, you got it
I got the
right.
first one.
Yeah,
Okay,
you only
okay.
missed 1.
Oh.
And Akon like 5 times. All right. 7. The celebrity star who is of Caribbean descent
Yeah.
Okay.
experienced domestic violence and quoted.
Oh, snap.
She quoted this. She said she thought she could 100% change him, but realized if you put up with it, maybe you are agreeing that you deserve this. Who is this celebrity? Zoe Saldana, Nicki Minaj, Rihanna. They're all Caribbean descent.
Yeah, no, come
I
on.
think it's Rihanna.
Let's see.
Is it C?
It has to, man, is it? I don't know.
I don't know. You tell me. What is it?
What is it?
I don't know. Like on. What is it?
Rihanna.
Rihanna. Yes! Woo! Okay. Number 8. According to July 21st, 2016 of Institute for Family Studies, there were 8 reasons women stay with their abusers. I'm going to name 5 of them, and then I want you to name the last 3.
Okay.
Okay. 1, their distorted thoughts. B, damage of self-worth. C, wanting a savior. D, family expectations and experiences. E, isolation. Those are the 5. What are the last 3? And just for a hint, they're one words.
1 word.
Finances?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Culture?
Codependency? I mean, that's already kind of in there.
Yeah, that's already in there.
Mm-hmm.
So why do people not go?
Fear. Shoot.
That's 2.
Fear, finances.
Children.
Children. Hey, you got all 3. Okay. Number 9. Which celebrity has experienced domestic abuse? A, Charlize Theron. B, Reese Witherspoon. C, Christina Aguilera. Or 4, all of the above.
I think all
All of the above.
Yes!
Tina Turner, everybody in the fans.
All right.
All of them. I mean,
Number 10. Last question out of the 10. What is the number to the domestic violence hotline?
Oh, I do not know.
Oh my snap.
It's
Is that the number?
1-800.
So far, so good.
Is it
Wait,
no
I'm gonna
DV
Google
or
it.
NDV?
I'm gonna Google it.
No, you can't Google it. All right.
It's like NDV or no DV. or something.
1-800.
It has
What is
like-
it called? The 1-800, the national domestic.
got 10
What is
seconds.
it called? Domestic violence
10,
hotline. What's it called?
9, 8,
Yeah, I don't know.
1-800-665-5988.
5, 4, 3,
I don't know.
2, 1. 1-800-799-SAFE or 1-800-799-7233.
Okay.
Very good, ladies.
Awesome, yay.
You guys got 80%.
Good job.
So I want you to go ahead and grab a gift.
Okay.
Grab you one.
All right. And wait, now here's the deal. When you get the gift, you got to open it up and tell us what you got.
Oh snap! I was gonna get the first one on top. I should have got
Did
that
you
one.
want to get it? You ain't opened it yet.
Nah, I'm good.
Are you sure?
I'll take my first instinct. Yeah. Give me a little Rubik's Cube.
Oh, that is cute.
Never figure out.
Wait, there's something else in there.
Oh, no. Is it? Oh, look. Oh, cool.
Gold
I'm
coin.
like Alex, I'm not going to put this on my chain, you know what I'm saying? I'm bling.
Show your gift. Show your gift.
My gift.
Yay!
Thank you, LaDios.
You're welcome. So we definitely wanted to thank you all for coming into our space. We always want to end up on a good note.
Yes, ma'am.
With that, Kimberly, tell everybody where they can get your information. What social media sets are you on?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Kimberley Breslin. I am on Instagram. It's Kim_possible44.
Kim Possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to message me. If you need any resources for domestic violence, I'm happy to also share those.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gracie. Share your social media outlets.
On social media, I'm Gracie Phoenix, PHOENIX is how you spell Phoenix. I'm everywhere, Gracie Phoenix. So
Snapchat,
Twitter, everywhere, Gracie Phoenix.
Nice.
It's pretty just scattered all across the board, so people can find me. So
I like that. All right, and with that, we also like to close with some words of wisdom. You can quote, you can say whatever, but something to tell our viewers, to inspire them to keep going. You want to start, Gracie?
Just follow your instinct, trust your gut. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you're tripping. If someone tells you that you're tripping and you're taking it, you're too sensitive, or you're just, it's not that serious, it's not that big of a deal. No, it is a big freaking deal. Don't let anyone tell you that you're tripping. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, trust your gut. Don't your heart and your head. Ignore those two. Trust your stomach. That's the words of wisdom for me.
All right, and what you got over here, Kimberly?
I think that it's never your fault, and you are going to find someone that will believe you, and those people are a lot more frequent in your life than you're going to think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say it's never your fault, and especially if you're someone who's experienced multiple perpetrators, there's nothing wrong with you. There just might need to be some healing done on your part, because we really do accept the love we think we deserve, so just trying to love yourself a little bit more.
Yeah. So there it is. Gracie Phoenix says, trust your gut. Don't let anybody tell you it's not real. Kimberly says, it's not your fault. And there's love for self. And with that, I want you all to know that love doesn't hurt.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in with LaDios with Intimate Conversations.